He once said, if you want to have clean ideas, change them as often as your shirt. And French artist Francis Picabia lived by that motto. His work encompassed many different mediums and spanned some of the key movements of the 20th century. Now, for the first time in almost 5 decades, the full spectrum of his ideas is on display at New York's Museum of Modern Art. Jade Barker went along to check it out.
From painting to poetry, performance to publishing, Francis Picabia was a master of many mediums and a perennial provocateur. He's considered one of the great artists of the past century, but despite his reputation and his breadth of work, you'd be forgiven for not recognizing his name.
I didn't know anything about him prior to this exhibition.
Impressed that I've never heard of him, which I find puzzling, and I'm impressed with his work.
I mean, I've heard of all the famous, I guess he's famous, but I've heard of others.
Why are his contemporaries Pablo Picasso and Marcel Duchamp well known and Picabia not? I do think part of it has to do with his refusal to settle on any one signature style. I mean, one way I like to think about Picabia is that his signature style is his lack of one in a certain way. And I think that makes it very hard for him to have instant name recognition.
This is the first major exhibition of Picabia's work in the US in nearly half a century, and the first to chart the full range of his career. Faced with such a creative chameleon, MoMA curator Anne Umland, along with her counterpart from the Kunsthaus Zurich, arranged over 240 of the Frenchman's works into chronological order, charting his many artistic twists and turns.
And these are his Impressionist paintings, which is where the exhibition begins. And it shows that even from the beginning, he wasn't very conventional, was he?
It does indeed show Picabia as an artist who from the start puts ideas of originality and authenticity and sincerity to the test. And that is because, unlike the original Impressionists, Picabia didn't take his canvases outdoors and he didn't work from nature. He worked from photographs and mechanical reproductions. So these works set him up as an appropriation artist avant la lettre, and that is a real through line in an otherwise very diverse career.
Before long, Picabia had moved on to abstraction. Critics in Paris reviled his new work as incomprehensible. But several months later, in early 1913, when the Armory Show in New York put 4 of his abstractions on view, he was hailed as a high priest of modern art.
We love that about Picabia, that he really is an artist who has a New York connection, a true one. He came here for the first time in 1913. He was the only one of the European avant-garde to cross the ocean for the Armory exhibition. And on American shores, at least, he became the real spokesman for the European avant-garde. And when he went back to Paris, that exuberance, that energy, that enthusiasm continued on.
It was an exuberance and irreverence that eventually led Picabia to the Dada movement, creating some of his best-known works. But he remained committed to being non-committal, parting ways with Dada in 1921. The exhibition continues to chart his artistic shape-shifting, a characteristic the MoMA believes makes him apt for audiences today.
Many contemporary artists today work across genres. They work in different disciplines, and they work between abstraction, figuration, stylistic multiplicity, and I think that it is a moment when Picabia looks particularly prescient. You know, it's as though the art caught up to him at last, and now we can look back and say, oh my goodness, here's this guy who sort of did all that, but at the beginning of the last century.
The name of this exhibition is taken from a quote by Picabia: "Our heads are round, so our thoughts can change direction." The MoMA hopes the show will increase appreciation of his chameleon-like career and its vital place in the history of modern art. Jade Barker, TRT World, New York.